Good morning, traders. It is Mark here from Crypto Collective, and it's 11:11 on Friday the 4th of June. Yesterday's video we highlighted to you about Bitcoin being sat in a range between 40,000 and 30,000, and we can see that yesterday brought up to the highs just under that 40,000 barrier where we'd seen the previous resistance being formed. Now if we look at this on the hourly chart, you can see that we've got a lovely trend being formed here, and then towards the end of yesterday we got a double top formation right in here, and then we've broken lower. So now we've seen a change in cycle or change in trend on the hourly time frame, which probably leads us to a little bit more downside, I'm sorry to say, for those that are, let's say, trading to the upside. However, what it will potentially do is give us more opportunity to load up on a lower price on some of the altcoins, or if you want to be buying into Bitcoin. If we look at it in a little bit more technical, what we can see is a rising channel that has now been broken, and based on that basis I would envisage now that the market will probably have a rally, maybe back up into around 38. So we'll see this market push just a little bit higher into maybe somewhere around this area, and if we get some kind of rejection here, then I would expect to see the market potentially roll over, test the 34,000. so that's going to have a knock-on effect on those altcoins. Expect to see altcoins sell off as Bitcoin does, and then we'll be using 34,000 as this is where we saw buyers step back in as a potential next level for the base. Now for those of you that watched yesterday's video, you'll have noticed that institutional investors had increased their long future contracts by 77%, which, you know, that's a very good foothold for the market to find that this is a base that's being formed. If when the market dropped down to that price that institutional investors were prepared to put their money where the mouth is, they see that as good value. There's a lot of buying and bidding at that price point. Therefore, we do see this as a base that's being formed in the short term. However, before we get back to the bull market that we were used to before that past sell-off, then what we're going to need to see is we're going to need to see a break of the 42,000, and you'll see that there's this blue line in here, 42,300. We've got a monthly pivot sat through here as well, so that'll tie in really nicely when we look for a market continuation back into the bull market. We want to see a break of this range that's being formed here, so I'll just draw that in there. So we want to see a break of that range here, and then what we're looking for is market to push higher and then use this zone here as a potential next add-in trade. Now for those of you that aren't in any markets or sitting on the sidelines while the dust settles, watch to see how the market reacts if we get back down towards this 33,000 in at these lows here. This could be a really good buying opportunity, not just on Bitcoin, it could be on the other coins as well. As you can see, if we look to the right hand side right now, you've got a sea of red. Everything is following Bitcoin's move here, and I would expect that altcoins are going to get punished a little bit harder on the sell-off in Bitcoin, which, you know, it's not a bad thing. It just means it's going to give us more opportunity to get into some markets in the near future. Now what can we look at? You know, we covered a few markets yesterday. Let's take a look at Solana, because we didn't look at this one yesterday. I'm just going to move out to the daily chart, and this one is slightly different because what we can see here with the Solana is price did break its structure high on the daily. So if I just draw this in right now, you'll see that price came up into this area here, and then we've exceeded it with a nice big bullish momentum candle. We've pulled back down and we're testing the monthly pivot. So we broke above the monthly pivot, we broke above the double bottom neckline, and now we're testing the monthly pivot. If Solana can outperform Bitcoin, then what we could potentially see is a nice rejection and a continuation move back up towards the 56 level where we were forming that assault on the $60 barrier, which was our target a while back if you remember rightly. So how can we look at potentially trading this, and what could be the telltale signs for us? Well, if we drop down, let's have a look at the 4 hour and see what we're seeing here. Okay, so 4 hour, we're still seeing a nice trend in the sense that we've got this impulse section through here. You can see impulse, correction, impulse, correction, and now we're seeing a potential 4-hour bullish candle off the monthly pivot. So objections here would be, right, I want to see this 4-hour candle close bullish, and then what I'd like to see is maybe a change in cycle on a smaller time frame. And are we seeing that? Well, we're getting warning signs that potentially the trend is shifting on a smaller time frame, but we haven't had confirmation. So what will confirmation look like? Well, here we can see the trend is dropping. We've got lower lows, lower highs. Then we put in a higher low off the monthly pivot. We can see it tested here, and now it's testing here. One thing we haven't got is a break of this high here. So we may see another assault back down to 35. What we need to see is a break of the highs. When we see a break of the highs, we can then look for that higher low, and maybe we can use the monthly pivot at that point. But it's all about waiting and being patient and looking for that continuation of the trend we're looking to get involved in. So let's take a look at one more market. BNB is a very popular chart to be following. If we look at it on the daily chart, you'll see that this market had suffered like most, where we went from highs of around 700 down to 230, 220. But what we have on the daily is, as I was describing to you on the other chart, is we do have that change in selling momentum. We have a lower high, a higher low, now a higher high, and we're waiting for confirmation and looking for potential next higher low to trade long. So here we can see this market is now giving us a potential opportunity to look for buying signals. But before we just jump in and buy the market, we want to have a look at clues. So yes, we've got structure to the left, which is, I'll just mark that in, we've got structure to the left. We've got price sitting on the monthly pivot here as resistance. Do we have anything here that's telling us that the buying pressure has come back into the market? Not just yet. If we drop to the hourly chart, still showing bearish on the hourly chart, because let me just make this a little bit bigger for you. What we can see here, and quite clearly, is that the market has, if we look at this as our structure low, and we can see that the market has been trending, and then we formed a new low. So we could potentially form a lower high and continue to move lower. So right now, this market isn't set up for me. I need to see that change in trend where we get that inverse head and shoulders, and then we can look at potentially trading it. So I think the solution here for my style of trading would be, I'm going to wait for price to do some kind of inverted head and shoulders like this, where we get that change in cycle, and then look for this higher low. And I'd like to see that preferably coming around the monthly pivot, so around 420, unless of course the market does decide to continue much lower, and then we'll be looking for that same kind of scenario, wherever that may be. But I just like to tie it in where we've got lots of confluence. So around the monthly pivot, if we can get a turn off the $377 price point here, and then get that higher low off the 420 monthly pivot, then I'll be looking to take this trade. On that note, guys, that's it here from Mark at Crypto Collective. If you've enjoyed the content, please hit like, share and subscribe. And one thing I'd like you to do, so I know you are watching, is tell me what you learned most today about this video. Put that in the comment box. And to finish off with, I always have to say this disclaimer is, we are not financial advisors. We're a team of crypto enthusiasts that love crypto, and we want to share with you our information, whether it's technical analysis or fundamental analysis, so you can make an educated decision on whether it's a market you want to be interested in or not. So on that note, guys, have a fantastic Friday, and we'll look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye bye.